To describe my father is truly an effortless task. He was the most warm, gentle, kind, and compassionate person, a man with great integrity and morals. Interestingly, there was a juxtaposition within his personality. He could become vehement, emotional, fervently intense, and truly fiery regarding the Jewish world at large, with great zealousness for Yerushalayim. Thus, he has become one of the most outstanding Jewish activists of our generation. My father was born in 1927 in Vienna, Austria. When he was 8 years old, his father took him to hear the renowned orator and leader of the Jews of that time, Vladimir Jabotinsky. He came to speak to the Jews of Vienna in order to warn them of the rising anti-Semitism that was rampant at that time in Europe. He was urging the people of Vienna to leave. His crying call actually was, "Jews, go to Jerusalem." That is really what propelled my father into his lifelong works for Jewish activism. My father's Zionistic activism began when he was 16 years old. He protested in front of the British consulate in order to expel the British from then Palestine. As soon as my father met my mother, he told her immediately that he was going to marry her. They really were the perfect couple, as my mother was as passionate about Jewish causes as much as my father was. They honeymooned in 1950 in Israel, and they were actually considered one of the first tourists to come to the state of Israel. In 1967, immediately after the Six-Day War, my father was the first person online at the El Al offices to buy tickets for the family to go to Israel for that summer. It was an exhilarating time to be in Israel, to see the excitement and fervor amongst the Israeli people, and it was just an extraordinary time to be there. I can only imagine the excitement and thrill my father must have felt of being able to go to the Kotel, which had not been davened by any Jews since 1948.
My father-in-law's many achievements included Pidyon Shvuyim. He worked together with Rabbi Aviva in preparing many ads that were published in newspapers throughout the world. He published an ad regarding Anatol Sharansky being held in the Gulag, in the Russian Gulag, for many years, and he felt he had been held there way too long. That ad was seen by President Ronald Reagan. He contacted whoever the powers were be at that time, and Sharansky was freed soon thereafter. Sharansky, to this day, credits my father-in-law for being one of the integral parts of his freedom, and they remained lifelong friends. I remember also as a young teen going to many protest rallies, so for me to have my father-in-law play an integral role in freeing probably one of the most prominent ones in the world really had an immense effect on me, and I was so proud to be part of that.
Dear friends, congratulations to Aviva Gross and to Bernie Mermelstein, and in fact to all the family of Joe Mermelstein on this day of Jerusalem reunited. Joe was an outstanding person. Vitaly and I always remember what great help he was to us during the struggle for Soviet Jewry, when on his own initiative he was publishing ads in American newspapers to remind the Jews about their obligation to save their brothers, and how in the critical moments was giving his own money straight to Vital for her activity. In fact, Joe is a great example of what one person can do on his own initiative without waiting for any instructions, simply by instruction of his heart and how he can help to change the world. So thank you and congratulations, dear friends.
Due to my father's activism and well-known reputation, this led to the introduction of him to Louis Bloom, Zichrono Livracha, who was the founder of Ateret Kohanim. My father became very, very interested in the cause, and thus my father became involved in the organization. My father felt so strongly about Jerusalem that the idea of settling the Muslim quarter seemed imperative to him. Of course, you can't mention Louis Bloom without mentioning at the same time Mati Dan, who till today is the driving force behind Ateret Kohanim.
Eventually, my father-in-law became the chairman of the board of American Friends of Ateret Kohanim, which Bernie Honig and Mel Wadler helped get off the ground. Due to the warm hospitality of my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, many meetings were held at their house. There were many decisions made there, and my father-in-law played a very pivotal role in the founding and the growth of the organization. And later, Dr. Joe Frager followed Jesse Marilis as president of American Friends of Ateret Kohanim. Over the years, my father-in-law developed many relationships with lots of the Likud leaders. He was very, very close to many of them, including lots of prime ministers. They turned to him for advice many times, and one of the most prominent leaders that he was close to was Bibi Netanyahu. He played a role in helping shape policy for the prime minister, and they remained long-term friends for many years.
Nothing gave my father more pleasure than hearing the laughter of children playing in the so-called Muslim quarter in the old city, especially in the garden that was adjacent to the home that he bought, Beit Mermelstein. My father was so passionate to see more and more Jews moving into the Muslim quarter. His love for Yerushalayim defined him, and the work that he did for Ateret Kohanim was boundless. When he spoke of Yerushalayim and Ateret Kohanim zealously, people could not ignore his message of one whole city, never to be divided. He devoted himself to Ateret Kohanim completely, and he accomplished so much for it.
Papa Joe loved Yerushalayim with all his heart, and I'm so proud to see my children carry on in the wonderful legacy of Papa Joe with their love of Yerushalayim.
I'm talking from top of Bet Hanof, and this is a place that my father and mother would be proud of. To my sister and brother-in-law, Paul and Aviva, and to my mother, thank you for doing all the work for the Jewish people and for the city of Jerusalem.
I pray that my father's passion for Ateret Kohanim, Jerusalem Chai, will inspire so many other people to emulate him for all the work that he has done. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our family and our friends for coming tonight to help support this extraordinary organization. Shani adored my father, and I am sure he is smiling in Shemayim tonight.